What made you think you had a winner with Basecamp, and how did you know that it would be a success?
We had this, when we launched Basecamp originally, we used to be a web design company, we have a web design firm. So we were doing work for hire, and Basecamp was a side project for us. We built it because we needed it. And so for us, the success criteria initially was simply, does this tool meet our needs? We need this tool because we were talking with clients on the phone and talking with clients via email, and there wasn't texting or messaging at the time, but it didn't even matter. The point is that we were not putting together a unified front. We didn't feel like we had our shit together. Clients couldn't find, they didn't see a schedule, and they didn't know where things were, and they didn't know where to get certain things, and emails were lost. If someone didn't hit reply all in the chain, like you lose, the whole thing, right? So we need a better way to communicate with our customers. We need a better way to get their feedback on the record. We need a better way to make presentations with them. And that's not one-off quick chatter. That's like thorough, here's a thought, here's an idea, here's a presentation, here's some work, here it is, let's talk about it, let's get feedback, take your time and get back to us. Anyway, we need a way to do that. And we also need a way to manage the work internally, because we were dropping the ball on things. We didn't know the tasks that need to get done, the whole thing, right? So initially it was success for us, but then when we decided to make this a product and put it out on the market, we had this vision internally that if we could get to $5,000, by the way, let me step back. This was 2004. Software as a service was basically not a thing. There was maybe a small handful of people doing this. So we had this idea that, hey, let's make a subscription service. And if we could generate $5,000 a month on it after the first year, so by 12 months down the road, we'd finally have $5,000 a month, then we'd be onto something. That'd be $60,000 a year, which would be a nice little client project. We could do it on the side, and we can keep doing our client work. It turned out that we were doing $5,000 a month in about, I think it was like 6 weeks in. We were basically 11 months ahead of schedule on that. And then we knew at that moment that we'd hit a chord and struck a nerve, and that there was something here. We didn't drop everything else though, because we didn't know, maybe it's a fluke, who knows, right? But at some point we realized that we were actually doing more. It took about a year and a half. We were doing more money, generating more revenue through Basecamp than we were through our client services redesign work. So we stopped doing the website design and then focused exclusively on Basecamp. So only at that point did we finally decide that this was that we had something legit here. We didn't get ahead of ourselves. We were excited, but who knew if this would last? Maybe those first 500 customers were like, maybe the market was only 800 customers, and we happened to get the first 500 really quickly, but the next 300 would take a long time, and then we'd be capped out. We just didn't know. So we just let it naturally happen, where Basecamp became the bigger part of our business, and then it was clearly a success for us.
And then how did you transition the company? I mean, if you had hired people to do, for instance, client work, and now you're doing product work, what was that transition like?
Well, we were basically doing product work for other people. So it's the same skills, right? People would hire us to redesign their website or redesign their app, or not app, web app, or mostly back then it was intranets, because there weren't like public facing web apps, but there was like intranet. So we were already doing the same kind of work. We just happened to be doing it for other people. So it was a natural transition to point that inward, just do it for ourselves. And so it wasn't really a different skill set at all. It was web designers and programmers. Instead of doing it for others, we did it for ourselves. And so we didn't have account managers or a marketing or sales team or anything like that. So we didn't have to transition them. It was just, first of all, it was 4 of us initially, and then it was 5 of us. And so there wasn't much of a transition anyway. It's not like we had a company of 40 that we had to figure out how to convert over. It was literally, when we launched Basecamp in 2004, it was me, David, Matt, and Ryan, I think, 4 people, if that's correct, 4. And so it wasn't that big of a deal to transition.
Yeah, no. And then you